You will not take her from me. Hey guys, I want to talk about the sword master that is Hayden Christensen and how this young man went from Attack of the Clones novice to essentially a master by the Revenge of the Sith. He essentially crafted a variety of styles to match the physicality of Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, portraying his sort of journey throughout the Star Wars storyline, and I think, for Hayden, he didn't want to try and force or fit in a style which was, scripted. He really wanted to have that sort of organic evolution and create that strong relationship with Hayden and the lightsaber as one, and Vader really, coming out of nowhere, where we just sort of see this natural evolution from a young man. At the time, his anger and tears and tantrums all contributed to that character, and his lightsaber skills really reflect that. The rules that he's put in place, his signature moves, that we know him for now, a true embodiment of his journey. You can really see in the early, footage where he's training, that Hayden Christensen put his heart and soul in portraying Anakin, and projecting that real life, emotional experience into the role. You can really feel that, and the lightsaber fights is pretty much, an extension of that, where he's bringing that physicality out of the role and into the lightsaber. The rehearsals were intense, with Ewan McGregor. I think there was a broken finger at one point. There was, knuckles burnt, bleeding, blisters, everything that they put into the fight to go over and over again, and really sort of like extend those characters, continuously, and I think, when it came to the Dooku fight, which was clearly the sort of the most complicated fight that they set up, it was a sort of third up back twist motion. So Dooku does it when, Anakin's on one side, nobody's on the other side of them. It's a stunning move, and it's only for a fraction of a second, but that move, took months to rehearse. So some of those moments really sort of, don't even make it outside of the rehearsal sessions. There's plenty of examples like that. And, Nick Gillard, who trained with them, brought in a lot of these moves when he was working with Hayden, and we will probably never see them. They'll never see the light of day, which is sad, obviously. And there's probably tons of footage and rehearsal tapes of Hayden, knocking about with Ewan and Nick and messing around with sort of new moves, sort of moves that probably wouldn't match Vader's style, perhaps, and they felt that wasn't appropriate. So, who knows, in the future they might turn up, which is cool. But, I think, when it comes to sort of like the crucial scene of Revenge of the Sith, we come to sort of the final cut of the greatest fight of Star Wars ever. We can see a lot of innovation in that fight, where Hayden was jumping around, bringing that sort of physical movement back. He wanted to be a fast pace. Lucas was very keen for Hayden to have this sort of like chase on. He wanted that vengeance embodied in the movement. So that's why we see the fight continuously moving. It's not a static fight. It's continuously moving throughout Mustafar, and that sort of movement brings it that dynamic feel. So we've got different situations where Hayden can sort of pull twists, slices, chokes, force grips, etc. This movement continues all the way through. And there's not many movies now where we see that sort of like long breadth of a fight. So because it needs that movement and that travel time, it needs that time, and Lucas devoted that time to the fight, which is why it's so powerful. Modern day movies would probably, this fight would probably be like, a minute, tops, and there'd be some key signature moves, get the best stuff out of the way and done. We're out of it. But, they really took the time with Gillard to sort of, pace it out and really feel the fight, the breathing, the sort of lag points, the fact that you need to think about where you're going to go next, because he's just, cut open a door, or, pushed you over the table or whatever. In the real life situation, you would think about those moves. They wouldn't just appear like a domino effect. It has to have that genuine feel of thought leadership as well as battle leadership. And I think, Hayden Christensen, after the fight on Mustafar, this was his pinnacle in terms of, lightsaber skills. So he's achieved, the Revenge of the Sith final battle, what's next, and obviously Hayden, took a huge gap out of the limelight, and one would always think, but there's so much more in between that and Vader, even in Obi-Wan, that we see. And this is where this sort of like missing piece in the puzzle comes, where we're thinking he's a master lightsaber fighter. We saw a little bit of it in, Obi-Wan, little cut scenes with Vader, that's fine, but we still yet to see, Anakin Skywalker pre-Vader in the peak of his physical prime in the lightsaber battles that he would take forth. And obviously there's been a couple of leaks online about Disney doing a little bit of this, but we need that dedicated sort of timeline to really show that on camera. And whilst Hayden is 42 now, it's a great time to do this with him, and I think he would really jump at the chance to get a series out of it. It would be so cool to see. If you're not with me, then you're my enemy.